Welcome to Best Brains Quiz. Please subscribe. Test your brain with this 100 general knowledge trivia quiz. Challenge yourself and see how many you can get right. Before you start, please subscribe. Let's get started. First question. Which is the only mammal capable of true sustained flight? Flying squirrel, colugo, bat. Bat is correct. Which fruit was the first to be eaten on the moon? Peach. Which sea has no coastline? Sargasso Sea. What is the national flower of Japan? Chrysanthemum. Which planet has a hexagon-shaped storm at its pole? Saturn. What was the first toy to be advertised on television? Mr. Potato Head. Which animal's fingerprints are almost identical to humans? Koala. What is the only bird that can fly backwards? Hummingbird. Which country drinks the most coffee per person? Finland. What is the rarest blood type in humans? AB negative. Which part of the body has the smallest bone? Ear is correct. In what country is the world's tallest waterfall located? Venezuela. What is the main ingredient in the Middle Eastern dish hummus? Chickpeas. Which element is represented by the chemical symbol W? Tungsten. Who was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize? Marie Curie. Which planet spins in the opposite direction to most planets? Venus. Which animal can sleep for up to 3 years without eating? Snail. Which country invented paper? China is correct. Which ocean is the smallest in the world? Arctic is correct. What is the only continent without reptiles or snakes? Antarctica. What is the capital of Bhutan? Thimphu. Which metal is the best conductor of electricity? Silver is correct. What is the world's longest venomous snake? King Cobra. Which animal has the largest eyes in the animal kingdom? Giant squid. Which country is home to the world's largest pyramid? Mexico. What is the fastest fish in the ocean? Sailfish. Which human organ can regenerate completely? Liver is correct. Which country produces the most vanilla? Madagascar. In which galaxy is our solar system located? Milky Way. Which planet has the most moons? Saturn. What is the national sport of Japan? Sumo wrestling. Which fruit contains the most vitamin C per gram? Guava is correct. What is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the world? Damascus. What is the longest river in Europe? Volga is correct. Which country uses the lek as its currency? Albania. Which bird lays the largest egg? Ostrich. What is the world's largest species of lizard? Komodo dragon. Which is the only bird that can swim but not fly? Penguin. Which ancient civilization built Machu Picchu? Inca is correct. Which planet is known as the morning star? Venus. Which is the heaviest internal organ in the human body? Liver. Which gas do humans exhale in large amounts? Carbon dioxide. What is the smallest country in the world? Vatican City. Which part of the human body can continue to grow after birth without stopping? Ears. Which fish can walk on land? Mudskipper. Which is the only rock that can float on water? Pumice. What is the most common element in the human body? Oxygen is correct. Which is the tallest mountain in Africa? Mount Kilimanjaro. What is the national animal of Scotland? Unicorn is correct. Which is the only planet that rotates clockwise? Venus. Which is the coldest inhabited place on Earth? Oymyakon. Which country invented fireworks? China. Which ocean is the deepest? Pacific. Which is the most spoken language in the world by native speakers? Mandarin. What is the main ingredient in sushi? Rice. Which animal can change its sex? Clownfish. What is the world's most expensive spice by weight? Saffron. Which is the only planet without an atmosphere? Mercury is correct. Which human organ produces insulin? Pancreas. Which continent is also a country? Australia. What is the fastest land animal? Cheetah. Which sea separates Europe and Africa? Mediterranean Sea. Which is the oldest known written language? Sumerian is correct. Which country is nicknamed the Land of the Rising Sun? Japan. Which planet has the Great Red Spot? Jupiter. Which is the largest mammal in the world? Blue whale. Which is the longest bone in the human body? The femur is the longest bone. Which is the hottest planet in our solar system? Venus is correct. Which country invented pizza? Italy is correct. Which is the only continent in all 4 hemispheres? Africa. Which river runs through Egypt? Nile is correct. Which is the largest island in the world? Greenland. Which is the most abundant gas in the sun? Hydrogen. Which insect can survive decapitation for days? Cockroach. Which planet is the closest to the Sun? Mercury. Which animal has the fastest heartbeat? Hummingbird, mouse, or shrew? Shrew is correct. Which is the oldest mountain range in the world? Barberton-Greenstone Belt. Which bird can sleep while flying? Frigate bird. Which organ is primarily affected by hepatitis? Liver is correct. Which is the only mammal that lays eggs? Platypus. Which ocean surrounds the Maldives? Indian Ocean. Which is the longest river in the world? Nile is correct. Which chemical element is diamond made of? Carbon is correct. Which country has the most volcanoes? Indonesia. Which part of the human eye controls the amount of light entering? Iris is correct. Which is the smallest planet in our solar system? Mercury. Which is the largest desert in the world? Antarctic. Which organelle is known as the powerhouse of the cell? Mitochondria. Which is the most visited country in the world? France. Which bird is the fastest flyer? Peregrine falcon. Which is the largest ocean on Earth? Pacific. Which is the only metal that is liquid at room temperature? Mercury. Which is the hardest natural substance on Earth? Diamond. Which part of the plant conducts photosynthesis? Leaf. Which organ helps you balance? Ear is correct. Which is the main gas in Earth's atmosphere? Nitrogen. Which is the longest wall in the world? Great Wall of China. Which country is famous for tulips and windmills? Netherlands. Which is the world's largest rainforest? Amazon is correct. Which is the largest living species of turtle? Leatherback. Thanks for watching. How many questions did you answer correctly? Drop your score in the comment section. Please, like, share, and subscribe. Pick your next challenge. See you in the next video.